Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the art of mixing modern and vintage styles to create a unique and timeless aesthetic. Whether you're drawn to the clean lines of modern design or the charm of vintage pieces, this video will show you how to seamlessly merge these elements. From selecting the right color palette and furniture to incorporating textures and statement pieces, we've got you covered. Mixing modern and vintage styles is not just about throwing together old and new items. It's about creating a cohesive look that tells a story. So, whether you're redecorating a single room or your entire home, these design tips will help you blend modern and vintage styles effortlessly. Ready? Let's get started. Creating a balanced foundation is the first step to successfully mixing modern and vintage styles. Start with a neutral color palette like whites, grays, and earthy tones. These colors act as a blank canvas, allowing your furniture and decor to shine without overwhelming the space. Limit bold colors to one or two statement hues to maintain cohesion. Use these colors sparingly in accent pieces like throw pillows, artwork, or a single piece of furniture. Neutral colors also make it easier to blend different textures and materials. This balanced foundation sets the stage for the next steps in creating a cohesive design. Now that we have our balanced foundation, we can start curating the perfect mix of furniture pieces. Trust me, the right mix of furniture can make all the difference in creating a unique and inviting space. Selecting the right furniture pieces is crucial in achieving the perfect blend of modern and vintage styles. Start with clean-lined, minimalist modern furniture as your foundation. Pieces like a sleek sofa or a streamlined dining table provide a contemporary base that you can build upon. Once you have your modern foundation, it's time to add vintage accent pieces. Look for items like a mid-century armchair, a rustic coffee table, or an antique cabinet. Don't be afraid to mix furniture from different eras. Combining pieces from various time periods adds an eclectic and curated feel to your home. When curating your furniture, pay attention to the scale and proportion of each piece. Balance larger vintage items with sleek modern furniture to avoid a cluttered look. Next, we'll look at how to incorporate vintage decor with modern details. Incorporating vintage decor with modern details is all about creating focal points and adding personality to your space. It's a way to blend the charm of the past with the sleekness of the present, creating a unique and inviting atmosphere. Start with vintage lighting fixtures as your centerpieces. These pieces can serve as the perfect conversation starters and set the tone for the rest of your decor. Whether it's a crystal chandelier, a retro pendant light, or an antique table lamp, vintage lighting adds charm and character. These fixtures not only illuminate your space, but also bring a sense of history and elegance. Next, consider combining vintage artwork with modern frames for a fresh gallery wall. This mix can create a dynamic visual interest and make your walls stand out. Choose sleek, minimalist frames that complement the artwork without overpowering it. The contrast between the old and new can highlight the beauty of both elements. Don't forget about smaller decor items like vases, clocks, and mirrors. These pieces can be strategically placed to enhance the overall aesthetic of your room. Vintage accessories can add a touch of nostalgia and warmth to your space. They can evoke memories and create a cozy, lived-in feel. When incorporating vintage decor, it's important to maintain a balance. Too much of either style can overwhelm the space, so aim for a harmonious blend. Avoid overcrowding your space with too many vintage items. Instead, select a few key pieces that will stand out and make a statement. Mixing modern details with vintage decor can also be achieved through textiles and upholstery. This can add layers of texture and comfort to your room. Consider reupholstering a vintage chair with a modern fabric, or adding contemporary throw pillows to a vintage sofa. These updates can breathe new life into old furniture. As you incorporate vintage decor, let your personal style shine through. Your home should reflect your tastes and personality, making it truly unique. Now that we've covered vintage decor, let's move on to textures and materials. These elements are crucial in creating a cohesive and inviting space. Textures and materials play a crucial role in blending modern and vintage styles. Start by pairing vintage wood furniture with modern industrial metal or chrome accents. Soft textures from vintage upholstery can be beautifully complemented by modern materials like polished stone or glass. When selecting materials, think about how they work together to create a cohesive look. Vintage wood pieces bring warmth and character, while modern materials like metal and glass add a touch of sleekness and sophistication. Don't be afraid to experiment with different textures. Textures can also be incorporated through smaller decor items. Think about adding vintage quilts, knitted throws, or embroidered cushions to your modern furniture. When blending textures and materials, it's important to maintain balance. Avoid overwhelming your space with too many different textures. As we move on to the next chapter, we'll explore how to highlight statement vintage pieces. Highlighting statement vintage pieces is all about creating focal points that draw attention and add character to your space. Choose one or two standout vintage items to be the stars of your room. Consider refinishing or repurposing vintage items for a modern twist. When highlighting statement vintage pieces, think about their placement. Position these items in a way that draws attention and makes them the focal point of the room. Don't be afraid to mix and match different styles and eras. Combining a vintage chandelier with modern furniture creates a striking contrast that adds visual interest. When selecting statement vintage pieces, let your personal style guide you. This personalized approach will make your space feel authentic and inviting. As we move on to the next chapter, we'll explore how to balance design elements to create a cohesive look. Balancing design elements is key to achieving a harmonious blend of modern and vintage styles. This balance creates a space that feels both timeless and contemporary, offering the best of both worlds. One effective way to do this is by using vintage accessories in modern architectural spaces. These accessories can add character and a sense of history to an otherwise sleek and minimalist environment. Conversely, use modern accents in vintage rooms to create a balanced look. Modern elements can refresh a vintage space, making it feel updated and relevant without losing its charm. Pay attention to the scale and proportion of your design elements. Large vintage pieces can dominate a room, so balance them with sleek, modern items to maintain visual harmony. Balance larger vintage items with sleek, modern pieces to avoid a cluttered look. This approach ensures that each piece stands out without overwhelming the space. When balancing design elements, consider the overall flow of your space. A well-thought-out layout allows for a seamless transition between different styles, making the design feel intentional and cohesive. Ensure that each room has a mix of both modern and vintage pieces that work together to create a cohesive look. This mix should feel natural and not forced, blending seamlessly into the overall design. Textures and materials play a crucial role in balancing design elements. Combining different textures, such as smooth metals with rough woods, can add depth and interest to your space. Pair vintage wood furniture with modern industrial metal or chrome accents to create a striking contrast. This contrast can highlight the unique qualities of each piece, making your design more dynamic. Don't forget about color when balancing design elements. A cohesive color palette can tie together disparate styles, ensuring that the room feels unified and well thought out. As we move on to the final chapter, we'll explore how to layer old and new elements for a truly unique and personalized space. This layering technique can make your home feel curated and reflective of your personal style, blending the past and present in a harmonious way. Layering old and new elements is the final step in creating a timeless and personalized space. This approach allows you to blend the charm of the past with the sleekness of the present, creating a unique and inviting atmosphere. Start by combining vintage patterns with modern geometric prints for textiles. This mix can be seen in items like throw pillows, rugs, and curtains, which can instantly add character and depth to your room. Place vintage decorative objects on modern shelving units or coffee tables to create a curated and eclectic feel. Think about incorporating items like antique vases, old books, or retro figurines to add a touch of history and personality. When layering old and new, think about how each element works together to create a cohesive look. It's important to ensure that the different pieces complement each other rather than clash, maintaining a harmonious balance. Textures and materials also play a crucial role in layering old and new. Mixing different textures, such as a vintage wooden table with a sleek modern metal chair, can add visual interest and depth to your space. Mix vintage wood furniture with modern industrial metal or chrome accents to create a striking contrast. This combination can make your space feel both warm and contemporary, bridging the gap between different design eras. Don't forget about color when layering old and new elements. Colors can tie the whole look together, making the space feel cohesive and well thought out. Use a neutral color palette as your foundation and add pops of color through vintage and modern accessories. This approach allows you to easily update the look of your room by simply changing out the accessories. By layering old and new elements, you create a space that feels both fresh and nostalgic. This blend can evoke a sense of comfort and familiarity while still feeling current and stylish. Ready to wrap things up? Let's move on to the conclusion. Remember, the key to a successful mix of old and new is balance and harmony. With thoughtful layering, you can create a space that is uniquely yours. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these tips on mixing modern and vintage styles, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more design inspiration. Creating a space that blends modern and vintage elements is all about balance and harmony. By following these tips, you can create a unique and timeless aesthetic that reflects your personal style. So start experimenting with different elements and let your creativity shine. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more design inspiration. See you next time.